Monster Hunter Rise, Ultimate, Sunbreak, Master Rank Edition, Game of the Year Edition, Connect, Official Nintendo Seal of Approval, Day 1 Edition from Devil May Cry. Compatible game. We Speak included. It's pretty fun. For a series that's been pretty samey for the past number of installments, it's pretty neat to finally have some changes to the formula. But I'm not here to say what I liked or didn't like about the most recent expansion. There's 100 better YouTubers out there who have done that and can handle criticism way better than I can. But with a year and a quarter since the initial release of Rise, I can at times walk away without thinking, damn, what did they do with that 1 year and a quarter? One of my biggest complaints that I can point to for this expansion is that it feels like Capcom forgot the whole expanse. A lot of what Sunbreak offers feels like it's what should have been in the initial release of the game, which is a feeling I can't remember having in the previous Ultimate editions. And the live service model just doesn't feel nearly as justified as it did for World and Iceborne. But given how Capcom started off on the right foot by adding Gogmazios and Seregios, I think I'm being more than forgiving when I'm saying I'm willing to give Capcom another chance. But you watch Capcom, I might take me and my followers elsewhere. I hope I'm not being too obvious with my selections here, but Odogaron, not in base Rise? Come on. Gogmazios, a monster I would not blame you for not knowing, is hidden behind a final selection of G-rank quests on the 3DS, and stands out as one of the rare occasions where a giant fight wasn't a giant snooze fest. The Gog would be a perfect change of pace in Rise. Contrasting it against a Zora Magdaros or Shen Godan, Gog is all about uptime. Compare the average giant fight in Monster Hunter, and usually it will go something like hitting rocks, standing around, hitting more rocks. Meanwhile, the Gog will have players constantly on the edge, dodging giant swipes, focusing on ground battles, and best utilizing the nearby artilleries and Dragonators. Wait, where's our Dragonator? What do you mean it's the Dragon's Dragonator now? I can see changes being made to the arena to make zipping between platforms and ballistas and cannons fun and thoughtful. Kinda like the best parts of the Nara fight, but with a bit of nostalgia thrown in. The Qurupeco, another fan favorite that oddly hasn't made a return, is a standout little shit monster that you can't help but love. Qurupeco's song would summon any nearby monster to your location, and when you're working with 400 pixels of screen space, that was as serious a threat as you could get. Wyvern riding in Turf Wars kinda takes away from the punch of the Qurupeco, but that's why I think he should have been packaged with this guy. Put up the threat a little. Make that fucker and that fucker only unrideable. Make it so maybe if you try to ride him, he eats you. I don't know. I think it'd be funny. With Seregios, almost every single classic flagship monster has now been accounted for. Not saying that they all need to make a comeback, but I still find it kinda weird how one of the most iconic monsters, the Brachydios, was left out. With how fast Iceborne's Brachy was, I don't think a whole lot of tweaking would be needed to make him fit into Sunbreak's endgame. Making his slime drops requires some fast and smart thinking to avoid, and you'd have a memorable return of a memorable monster. Speaking of flagships, Glavenus is the only piece missing out of the infamous Fated 3. Glavenus has always had this nice ebb and flow to him, making you wait and really learn his timings in order to punish. Let him be the bouncer to bait out roll spammers. I don't know, toss the job over to that team at FromSoft. They'll know what I mean. Iceborne also gave him this really interesting subspecies, the acidic Glavenus. Bring that back. And speaking of subspecies, I will now talk about them. Bring back the cool subspecies. This? Visually boring. Loosen Nargacuga, that's a step in the right direction. But this? You give us Sandbarrioth, Stygians and Ogre, the Gold and Silver Rafts, for the legacy, and the definitive best species, the Molten Tigrex. I can't even begin to explain how much the Molten Tigrex improves on the original Tigrex fight. His size, speed, aggression, being locked into a single arena atop a crumbling tower while trying to manage your stamina from dodging his constant barrages while also trying to shake off any blast blight, it's beautiful. Bring it back.
Oh yeah, we're getting through that. Oh, watch out!
Oh god! No! That was tragic.
Rubibasarios, Fulgur Anjanath, Purple Ludroth, Red Kezu, or scratch that, the Giganox. With the removal of gunner-specific armor, I think anything that brings a big chunk of interesting armor varieties would be pretty tight. You ever wanted to kill this little thing in the hub? Look at his shit-eating grin. He thinks he's better than you. He knows he's better than you. He's never known struggle. Not like you have. Yeah, me too. And we should have been able to had they brought back the Tetsucabra, which also has heavy East Asian motifs tied into his armor. And speaking of the Tetsucabra, does anyone else remember back when they used to do announcement videos for the event quests and collabs in 4U? And they brought out the Berserk Tetsucabra and said the words guts and Berserk in a 5-second span?
If you have the guts to confront a Tetsucabra and a Berserk Tetsucabra at the same time...
Yeah, I lost my shit watching that before school, and I'm still disappointed that it never came to fruition. Make it happen, Capcom. I know the team have had issues adapting the bigger Leviathan class of monsters to the new world, but finally seeing Legiacris and Acnactor in HD would be incredible. To my understanding, there were major issues getting the monsters' long bodies to properly adapt to the terrain, but comparing Rise's Area's 2 worlds, they do feel a lot more open and flat. But they're probably still not flat enough not to be a pain, which is why I can always hope, right? Cantor and Ukanlos are 2 Pseudo-elder dragons, which I think would work a lot better in Rise than they did in their original games. I can see them being tweaked to be a lot more aggressive and force players to really consider their positioning and wire bug usage, which I think would be more than fair for Sunbreak's endgame. I always thought it was weird how a random selection of world monsters returned in Rise, but not the face of world itself. Bring back Nergigante. I liked him. He always stood out to me. Every Elder Dragon had this flashy show to them, but Nergigante, his power is just kicking your shit in, and I respect that. Who would you want to see back? Evangelion Brachydios? Attack on Titan Deviljho? Overgrown Child? Watermelon Odogaron? And feel free to subscribe to other videos. Just as I was editing this, like literally I just stepped outside, and it turns out my car is stolen. So I just got back from talking to an officer and putting in a claim. But if that doesn't make you feel bad enough to subscribe, I don't know what will. We do a lot of different kinds of videos. My favorite are this little challenge we did where we shocked ourselves if we couldn't get the Pokemon names right. And I also love our Dark Souls randomizer series. I feel like I put a lot of effort into that.
Whoa, it's him. Are you kidding me?
Dog. Yo. Chill with it, man.
Goodbye.
And also we play some horror games. So yeah. Feel free to check that out and drop in below what monsters you want to return. Peace. Thank you.